Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. I'm your host, Kira Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. So hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kira, and you guys, we're doing a live house party podcast because it's mine and Tiff's birthday. Tiffy, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm so excited and so caffeinated. This is so much fun.
It's so good. We also have DJ Ash in the house. If you don't know, Ashley is one of our traveling coaches, and she also doubles as a DJ, as a party planner, as a rugby player. So Ashley has a lot of unicorn glitter, all the things. We also have our whole coaching team. We have a lot of you here live with us today. Rachel is casting this live on Facebook. So if you don't know, Tiffany and I, believe it or not, share the exact same birthday 1 year apart. So, boom. And I think Tarly, doesn't your sister also share the birthday with us?
She sure does.
Tarly's sister does. And believe it or not, all of you guys, no joke, was born on my grandma and my great-grandma's birthday, both on my maternal mom's side. So on my mom's side, my grandma and great-grandma both have the exact same birthday too. So it's just a great day. And then Heather is on with us today, and Heather's husband, Dr. Brian Bialy, it's also his birthday. So we're just doing the whole birthday shebang today. So this is a live podcast, and you guys were awesome, and you sent in questions for us. So first question, though, that I'm going to ask is, Tiff, what are your birthday plans in this quarantine birthday that we get to celebrate? Before we get too far into this, I want to ask you guys to stop right now and head on over to wherever platform you're listening to and leave the Dental Team Podcast a review. You guys, these reviews mean so much to us, and they help us get more listeners just like you to join us. So please stop right now, go leave us a 5-star review, share what you love, how this podcast has changed your life, and let's keep rolling.
While I'm getting my hair done, I'm so excited to leave my house and do something for me. So the salon's open tomorrow. I'm her first client, so it'll be nice and clean. I'm getting my hair done, and then I plan on celebrating with a few friends on Saturday. What are you doing?
Fun. I told Jason that I wanted it to be a surprise this year, so he did leak a little secret to me. So we are going to go camping tonight, and then there is actually a place where you can go mine for crystals. So we're going to go mine for crystals. I saw your face. So cool, right?
Gosh.
So cool. So he let me know that we're going to do that. I don't know anything else that's going on. There are 3 cases of raspberries in the fridge right now, so I'm hopeful that something awesome's happening with that. Because I definitely love some raspberries. And then both of my sisters are in town. My little sister went on her mission, but she's still home because they're not opening that up. So she's like a missionary, but not. So I can still see her. And my other sister and her fiance are in town. So I'm hoping to see the whole shebang. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That sounds really exciting. I can't wait to hear what the raspberries are for.
I know. I'll let you know. So, all right, you guys, this is your podcast as well as mine and Tiffany's. And so we wanted to share some of the questions. So you guys were super nice. You guys wrote in questions for us. So we're going to answer these live on our podcast today. And Tiff, this is our birthday, so shake it up however you want to, because we can't celebrate in person. So this is what it's going to be. And you guys, at the end of the podcast, just wait for it. I sent Tiff a birthday present. She sent me one as well. I don't know if mine's in the house or not yet, but Tiff has it, and she's going to be opening it live because Tiffany, let's say last year, it's birthday month. So she opens these presents all the time. And so she's been dying for a week with this present. So I decided, hey, let's have you open it because it's a pretty fun, legit one. So I'm excited. So stay tuned. Tiff, it'll come. All right. So the first thing, question, and we also have the other coaches on here. So other coaches, chime in. Let's answer for our podcast listeners today. And Heather, chime in as well. Any of you that want to chime in, make sure you do because it's the birthday podcast house party. It's my and Tiff's party. So, all right, Tiffany,
Yes.
there were so many questions on here. I'm going to read them like, where do you find A team members? Hiring a new assistant. What are the steps to hiring? And at what step is the offer made? Hiring the staff that can stay with me for years. Looking for attractive ads and great ways to interview. Best ways to advertise on media or to post your job ads. Are phone interviews necessary? How do you onboard online during the pandemic? So clearly, this is a zone of hiring. Welcome Pierce to the party. I'm so excited. You guys don't know Pierce. I need to do a small interjection before we start talking about hiring. Pierce is one of my dear friends, and I'm so excited he's here. Pierce and I met at the Tony Robbins event, you guys. Pierce is like one of my best friends, my mentors. He and I have stayed in contact. And since Pierce is here, I was holding his comment, hoping he'd show up. There he is. Pierce, welcome. Pierce made a comment, guys. So you're going to just know a little bit of Pierce's personality. He said, did I hear you correctly? In a podcast, you mentioned you know sign language and were a teacher. You must be turning 90 with all the life experience you have, Pierce. Thank you, Pierce. Thank you, Pierce.
I don't know. It's not believable.
It has to be believable. Rachel and Kaylee made me practice signing happy birthday in sign language this morning on our call to make sure I still knew how to do it. So
let's see it.
You want to see it? Okay, Mike's going down. Tiff, do you know it at all?
No.
Okay, so it's literally like, this is happy. So you like swipe up, that's happy. Then this is so graphic. Birth, like that baby's coming out.
Okay.
So happy birth. And then you put your arm like this and it's a pointer. So the day, so it'd be happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, damn.
Happy birthday, dear. And then you'd spell out Tiffany or Kira.
Here's much
Happy
easier.
birthday to you. It's just because I did have a deaf friend give me a sign name and it never goes away. So there you go, Pierce. I did teach sign language. There you have it.
Good for you.
There you go. So welcome.
That was fun.
Welcome, Pierce. Welcome, Pierce. Yeah, Tiff, now you know how to sign happy birthday. You can teach Brody. So,
I'm doing it every day.
all right. So since this is house party, this is a podcast. Tiff, let's talk about hiring because also the last question was unicorn magic. Where do we get more of it? So Tiff and I are unicorns, which is why we have our unicorn party hats on today. But Tiff, let's talk about hiring. And Ashley and Tarly join in as well. Tarly, I know you've got to leave, so no stress. And all of you joining, come and go as you please. This is just for you guys. So Tiff, about hiring, where do we find A teams? How do you hire an assistant? What are the steps? Let's just dive into this because I know we have a hiring course that literally says like how to hire your unicorn. It's mine and Tiff's birthday, so go get it for 50% off. Hashtag dental DAT helps. I think it's like $40 if that. So Tiff, let's talk. What are some of the things you're finding of where to find A teams, how to do that hiring process? What do you see?
So number one.
By the way, I love you in this unicorn hat.
I had to dig it out yesterday, which made me organize all of our dental 18 swag and stuff in the closet. So
About that. I also have a closet at Tiffany's house with all of my stuff in Arizona.
we have about 1,000 fortune cookies if anybody's looking for any. It's fine.
We're excited. We're gonna bring those out.
Okay.
Should. Heather, we're gonna ship you some. Rachel, can you please make sure you send Heather and Pierce some of our fortune cookies? Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. So, and Tarly, you just can come get some. You're like 20 minutes away. So hiring is a huge undertaking and it can be really stressful if you let it be, but it doesn't have to be. I think it can be really fun as well and engaging if you choose to take the right route. So always, number one, make sure your head's in the right space and you know what you're looking for and who you're looking for. So if you're just blanket, putting an ad out to just capture as many people as you can, or I want all of the experience, so I need to make sure that like I get everyone. I want this giant pool. Well, then you're going to be spinning your wheels, wasting your time, and you're going to get more frustrated than anything because majority of the applicants aren't going to fit the person you're actually looking for. Mm-hmm. So you might not even know what that person looks like right now. You might just know like I need a dental assistant and I need her to have 5 years of experience. Right? Okay, great starting point. So write those things down. Okay, now think about like an avatar. We talk about avatars all the time. And I know a lot of you guys were on our social media webinar, and they talked about avatars, right? So you build your avatar for your ideal patient, right? We've all worked on that. We've worked on how to create the vibe and the feelings and the pull to the ideal patient, but then now take that information and build it for your ideal candidate for who you want to hire, right? So what does he or she look like? What are their hobbies? What do they like to eat, right? What's their favorite drink? What do they talk about? Who are their friends, right? Welcome, Claire.
Hi, Claire. We're so happy to see you.
Our hygienist on our team, on our dental A team, which is our hygiene department. But all of the things, so really dive into who that person is. And remember, one of the things that I like to keep in mind when I'm hiring is that you're spending a lot of time with this person, right? Especially in a dental office. You spend more time in your office than you do at home with your family. And the saying goes, you are the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So think about that. If you're hiring, you're filling your office with people you're spending majority of your time with. So why not make it people who you adore, you love, that challenge you, that create a consistency in your life of growth, right? People who make you want to be better, because you're ultimately going to be happier. So build that avatar and then talk to that person, right? How would he or she be attracted to an ad? If you're writing it. And if you want, like I think of Kira and I when I write ads. So I want somebody who is energetic, bubbly, vivacious, wants to have fun, fits in well, and will easily get along with our patient or our offices, like all of these things. She's excitable. She loves coffee, even though Kira can't drink it, right? But I think of all of these things, and then I write the ad, like how would I attract Kira to my company if I were looking for Kira, if she was my model hire? Like, how would I attract Kira? Bubbly words, right? Unicorns, glitter, excitement. That's the person I want to attract. So write the ad to attract that person. And then you get a smaller pool. So you funneled your hiring into a smaller pool, making it easier to find that perfect match and that perfect fit. You shouldn't have to do 200 interviews, right? You shouldn't have to do 30 interviews. You should be able to narrow it down into a pool where you do a handful of interviews with a few people who can really fit in, and then take it even smaller from there. Do your working interviews.
For sure. I love that you said that too, because like we actually have you guys on here. If you're watching us on Facebook or you're listening to it live, we actually have a girl who's interviewing for our company. And before she even got the interview, Tiffany, Kaylee, and I all sat down and said, who do we want on our team? What do they need to be? What are the attributes? What is, and we broke it down. We're like, they need to have sales. They need to be able to do sales. They have to do marketing. They have to be organized. They have to be somebody who can like drive a team. They've got to be growth minded. They've got to be somebody that can manage and wrangle all of the consultants in all the different time zones and not get stressed out by that. That was everything we did. And so we put together an ad that spoke to that person. And it was very ironic and interesting because the person we interviewed, it was crazy. I interviewed her yesterday and she was saying all the things she does. And I was like, check that box, check this box, check that box. And it becomes an easier decision. Rachel's new to our team. When we met Rachel, she was literally the person we wanted. When we met Ashley was who we wanted. And so I think it's where we find these A team members. I also think you need to write an ad that's going to attract an A team member. I remember Ash said, what did you say about our ad? Like, you didn't even believe it was a real ad. What did you say about it?
I thought it was too good to be true. Well, first of all, I found you guys on Craigslist. So
Craigslist works, you guys. Craigslist, Indeed, those things work. Ashley came from Craigslist.
I did. I found some of my best jobs on Craigslist. Not kidding. So try it out.
Same.
Put your ad out there. But yeah, I thought Harley. It was true. I did think it was too good to be true. And I did a little recon to make sure you were actually legitimate human beings before I responded, even back to Tiff. So that's
awesome. But the reality is, so like to the question somebody asked was, where do you find A team members? And hiring a new assistant, what steps to hire? What step is the offer made? Hiring staff that can stay with me for years. We tell everybody in our interview that you're with us for life. Like, we don't want non-lifers on our team. We want you in here. Of course, we want Liz, who's also on the call, which Liz is one of our dear mentors. We love Liz. Liz gave me a really cool quote the other day, and she said, Kira, empower your team to where they are so good that they could leave you, but treat them so well that they would never want to leave. And I thought that was really good because that keeps people wanting to stay with you long term. So giving them opportunities to grow and evolve, giving them those things. But first steps first, you've got to write an ad that's even going to bring these people in. So Tiffany and I, Tiff hires for our company, if you guys don't know, Tiff is our onboarding specialist, unicorn glitter concierge. She does all the things. There you go, Charlie. Pulled you right into this one too. But what we do is Tiff and I actually spend a decent amount of time crafting the ad to make sure it's going to bring in the people we want. And then writing a really solid subject line really makes a big difference. So we'll try different things. So we'll say dental coach. We'll say office manager wanting to expand to a dental coach or a dental consultant, because we weren't getting a lot of people on dental consultants. And we realized maybe that was too intimidating of a word. Let's try a dental coach. So trying and just seeing who's actually going to come in. We love Indeed, Craigslist. We tried ZipRecruiter. You can use get your team members on their social. What else were you going to say?
Glassdoor. We had Ashley came from Craigslist and Harmony actually came from Indeed. So we've had multiple hires, but we've done both. And then we tried Glassdoor. And then we've also done Facebook. So if you have a business page on Facebook, you can post a job and for free at the ad.
For sure. Rachel, where did you come from? Were you on Indeed, Craigslist?
Indeed, yeah.
Indeed. So all of our admin crew comes from Indeed. Rachel, Kaylee, and Harmony all came in off of that. But Claire's our hygiene coach, and she came off of, she actually messaged me on Facebook and said, hey, are you doing coaching? So I also think having a good online social presence can really help impact and attract people as well, because Ashley always goes and checks their social page, the things about them, because that's going to say who you are. So on the Dental A team, I don't know if you guys have seen, the Dental A team, we rode a unicorn down a sled hill. The girls were incredible, got us this unicorn sled for a photo shoot that we did. And we'll post pictures like that because that's our company. That's who we want to attract. So I would say for all these things, what are the steps to hiring? Place a great ad on these different locations that we just mentioned. Next up is, and that ad needs to be the bait to attract who you want to. And then there was a question that said, are phone interviews necessary? And Tiff, what's your thought on our phone interviews necessary?
I 100% think that they're necessary. I have done so many phone interviews where I'm like, okay, and we're good. We'll keep in touch. We'll let you know because that's who they are, right? So how are you showing up to your phone interview? Are you here just answering the questions the way you think I want them answered? Are you here yourself? Are you boring me? Right? Are you attracting me to you? Because I want to attract you to us, but I want to be attracted to you when I talk to you too. I want to feel the urge to be around you. Charlie?
For sure.
Yeah, I think something really, I think phone can weed out a lot. You can really get a sense of someone's energy over the phone. It's not always the most accurate, but it is one way to weed out people to conserve everybody's time, because time is the most valuable thing that we give to anybody. And I would also say, and you guys might be getting to this, is having the different behavior personality tests. That is powerful. DISC. I was just recently doing Enneagrams, the Myers-Briggs. I really believe that can give you some insight into somebody that can be done up front, that can help as well make it less time consuming for you to weed through applicants. Yeah,
for sure. Thank you for that. The new test that you mentioned, we all took it and it is spot on. It's a lot more powerful. Rachel Hollis just talked about it at her event. And it's all online for free. So Tiff, will you actually walk them through kind of the process we do in hiring? Because this is going to answer the question somebody asked of how do we do onboarding online during the pandemic? And if you guys don't know, the Dental A team is a virtual company. We literally hire people. We had never met Ashley face-to-face before we hired her. Not once. We did not see her in person.
Her until a mastermind in person.
Sorry about that, Ash. Welcome to the mastermind. Claire, I happened to meet Claire in person because we had an event. Harmony have not met her in person at all. And so the reality is we do a lot of this onboarding virtually. So Tiff, kind of walk them through the process of how to do this, because a lot of offices are going to be doing this virtual and you do it all the time.
Yeah, everything I do is virtual. It's online. Tarly is like 20, 25 minutes from me, and we still do a ton of training that's virtual. We had the opportunity, obviously, to do a little bit in person, but everything else, Ashley was completely trained virtually. The girls I'm working with now for our coaching team members, they're virtual. So I avatar, right? We avatar, and then thanks, Charlie. And then we place the ad, and then I go through the ads. We are strategic on our ad also to ask a question that they need to answer, right? So they need to answer a specific question. I think my last one I did, what's your favorite candy? Something like that. So I look for those answers because I want the attention to detail. So I weed out the resumes that have come in, then I schedule the calls. One thing that I do for my phone call scheduling, which I personally feel is brilliant, is I give them my phone number. I schedule the time that we will interview, and I tell them to call me because I don't want to chase. I want to be chased. I want you to want to work for us. So if you want to be a part of the Dental A team, you're going to do whatever it takes to be a part of us, and you're going to call us at our scheduled time. If you're late or you don't call me without notifying me, I know you're not a fit for our team. Right? I know unless there was a catastrophic event and I hear from you later, I know you're probably not a fit because I want to know I can rely on you and that my offices that I'm going to pass off to you can rely on you. So strategic placement there. Phone interview, reference checks. I always try to do those pretty early on. And then I do a Zoom interview just like this. So we pop on a quick Zoom interview. I tell them to come prepared with questions that they've developed since our phone call. My phone calls are scheduled for 15 minutes. I like to give an expectation and a time limitation. So we've got 15-minute phone call. Then we do a Zoom call like this, and I tell them to expect maybe 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how many questions they come prepared with. I like to see what they're going to come to me with. What questions do they have from the first interview? What questions do they have about our company? And dive in.
Financials. And tip in between that, like, so when you do your phone interview before the Zoom, don't you also send them the personality test, get their reference checks? Like, you put that in there. You also tell them to go learn about our company. And send them through like a process about our company before you get on the Zoom. Because if we're not a good fit for them, like, peace out, Cub Scout. We don't want to work with you, nor do you want to work with us. So let's just cut to the chase. You do a really good job of that. And when we actually knew, so when we were looking for Harmony, Kaylee took Charlie, say the name of that test. I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Enneagram.
There's it.
Enneagram.
Enneagram, yeah.
Enneagram. All right. So taking the Enneagram, we had Kaylee take it beforehand. So we knew exactly who we were looking for. And then we had Harmony take it. And believe it or not, Harmony came in spot on identical to who Kaylee is. So we knew this girl already has a lot of what Kaylee has because this is who we're trying to hire. So if you guys have a rock star assistant or a rock star front office that you're trying to duplicate, find out who they are. Now, I did talk about Pierce at the beginning. The reason, hi, Brian, happy birthday to you too.
Yeah.
I did talk to Pierce. He's on the call. I met him at Tony Robbins, and I purposely chose Pierce as my accountability partner. And the reason why is because Pierce and I have two very different personalities. Pierce is a diehard entrepreneur. He is I will call him and say, Pierce, what would you do for this scenario? What would you do? And he's like, Kira, you might not do it this way. And I say, Pierce, I love that you'll tell me something different. So in hiring, you might need to hire someone who's not just like you. If everybody was on crack like I am, where I'm like bouncing off the wall, super happy, and it's literally just off of sugar or who I am in the morning when I wake up, like no drugs involved here with this personality. If everybody in our team was like that, I think we'd all just struggle because there's so much going on. However, hiring those opposite personalities, or if you know somebody that you're looking for, they can join in based on those personality tests. So Tiff, I just want to interject that one as well, based on who you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So resumes, phone interview, scenarios. So I send a scenario email. So I pull, for our company specifically, I pull a couple of scenarios. I usually do at least 3 scenarios that we've come up against in practices ourselves. And then also 2 different personality tests. The scenarios, I like to see where their brains are at. There's no right or wrong necessarily, because consulting and coaching is a really vast environment. but I want to know where would they take it? Where does their attitude flow to? And what's their solution for these things that this office is coming up against? And then also the personality test. So I'm pro personality test. I really love 16 personalities. I think it's fun. I always have, most of my offices have taken them. And then you have right there with your team that you've got, like Kira was saying, you've got your team, you know who they are, you know what their personalities are, and you can see what will fit, what won't fit. And if you're replacing someone like we're doing with Kaylee, right, we're trying to find her unicorn replacement, we can match it up with exactly what we need. So scenario email, they respond to the scenario email, and then we take it from there. So it's either okay, great, let's push forward, let's get the Zoom call interview scheduled, or it's a dive into, okay, well, let's talk about some of these situations. Or there's been a handful of time, you guys, that I've never heard back from them. I say, okay, great, fantastic to talk to you. I'm going to send over the scenario email. I send it, and then they ghost me. I never hear back from them. So it's another way to weed out when you're doing virtual interviews, because normally in an office, right, you do phone interview, working interview, right, or in-person interview. So you can weed out even the in-person interview now just by sending over a scenario email, maybe a couple things based on what their position is in the office, they may come up against in your practice, right? What do you have a crown milling machine? Like what would they do there? What would they do with an upset patient? What would they do with a new patient? What's their ideal new patient experience? Things like that. You can ask questions to see where their brains are at. Then I do the Zoom interview. Oh, and yes, I make them learn about us. I always send them over to our website and our social media links. And I always encourage them to start listening to the podcast if they're not already listening to the podcast, because they need to know who we are. And I always tell them on the phone interview that every step of the way is an interview process. And even when we go into training, it's still interview. It's interview for them. It's interview for us, because like Kira said, I want to make sure that they want to be here too. I want to attract people who want to be here for the long term and who like us as human beings. So if for some reason along the way, it just doesn't feel like it's a fit, that's fine. I would rather find out now while we're doing all of this virtual training than when I'm standing next to you at the mastermind and you're like, this girl drives me crazy. Right?
Yep.
If I drive you crazy, that's fine. Like that's not the right fit. That's totally fine. But if you love me like Ashley did, I'm just kidding. I love Ashley so much. She was a solid one. Yeah, so that's kind of how it goes. And then I do a lot of virtual training, which I think at this point, dental offices can do a lot of virtual training too. You can start learning about the practice. You can send them to YouTube if they need more information on dental practice information. You can record videos. You can send them your operations manual, the pieces that they need. We've got the online training videos, right? So they're at home, send them through one of our courses or make them watch the videos, listen to the podcast, start learning the things that they need to know before you even have them in the practice.
For sure. And as you were saying that tip, I was thinking, okay, so you guys might want to know, like, how do we onboard? We have tried 2 different training platforms. We've done Teachable, that was cheaper. And so that was our first one that we did. And then we now switched to Kajabi. Kajabi is a more expensive platform. It's just easier for us. And I think the tracking's better on it and overall just a better platform. I don't think that's necessary though. So if I was you and we did this, and yes, it is kind of a pain. It's a pain for the first go through, but then after that, it's pretty easy. So Tiff and I spent a lot of time, and we used Ashley, and we've used all the new coaches that come through. They go through our course online. It was a pain for Tiff and I to do it. And what we did is we broke our online onboarding. So to that question, Heather and Brian, this was yours, of like, how do we onboard online during a pandemic? So we have it where the first section's about our company, who we are, kind of like our, like about us. Because if they don't like that from that point, they don't have to stay with us. They can move on. Then after that, we go into some scenarios. We have them actually do responses. For you guys in dental offices, I would break one up and have one for front office to learn, back office to learn, and hygiene. And I would have specific podcasts that you want them to listen to in there and then make them have a response to it. And we've gotten really smart because Tiff used to have to go in and check the comments. Well, we realized like we're lazy and we don't, not lazy, efficient. And we don't want to go check those comments. So we have them email us their comment with a certain subject heading line. And then you go through, the Dental team has tons of courses, guys. DAT helps. You guys can get any of the courses and just plug them into that. Make them do that at home, track their status and have them email you when they get to certain spots. I'd pull podcasts. So you could even just go to our website, search hygiene. It'll pull up all the hygiene podcasts we have, list those off for them. Assistants, you could put them through. Ashley just made a dental assistant course. There's the training videos. You could have your own office ones of your own office setup from your ops manual, pull pieces of that in there. Tiff, how long? Our courses are pretty lengthy, but in average, how long do you think it takes people to go through our courses?
I tell all of the applicants that we go through that I want them to be through that course within 7 to 10 days.
And that's it. Because when they're interviewing and they're going through it, they're pretty hungry to get a job. Also, you guys will hear our interview process and you might think we're downright crazy. And we are. We make it a hard process to work with us because at the end of the day, we don't want people quitting on us. We don't want people that can't figure out how to buy a plane ticket and are calling us when we're all trying to sleep and they can't figure it out. We don't want people that can't think for themselves. So we put them through the ringer because if these people will stick with us, they really want it. And I also think Tiff does a good job of making them want us, not us desperately chasing them. And I think there's just a different energy when you're confident, like, you know, we'll sit and wait. Tiff and I have traveled this nation by ourselves on our own. And we're like, we'll figure it out until we get the right person. And we're not willing to hire because we used to be very desperate and those people would drop off. It was hard with client relations. So I think it's more, you just sit, we sit out and wait and our process is hard to get through. But when you're in and you don't leave.
And I think you're grooming the people that you're hiring from the get-go, right? So if you're desperate and you're feeding them everything that they need to be your perfect candidate, you're going to be feeding them for the entire life of them working with you. They're constantly going to need things from you. You're going to have to be fixing things for them, telling them how to do their jobs. And I just don't want to do. I have no desire in my body whatsoever to handhold people for the entire time that they're here. So when I come across people like Ashley who are just self-doers, like she can just get up, she can get it done, she can go, and then she can check back in with me, that's the kind of person that I want. So from the get-go, I was like, okay, Ashley, like here's this, and then do this, and then make sure you're doing this, and read these books. It wouldn't have been the vibe for her. I don't think it would have fit for her. She doesn't want that either, right? So we attract what we want, but also like making her check back in with me flipped that switch. Like, okay, well, when you're done with that book, like, let me know what your key takeaways were. I want to hear what you saw, right? She would email me. And I wasn't going back and being like, hey, where are you? Did you finish that book? I didn't have to with Ashley, but I don't do that with anyone. I literally make them respond to me just like we do in your offices, right? Our accountability measures are reporting back up so that we're not micromanaging looking down. And it starts with the interview process. Make them come to you to show you that they actually want it. And if they don't want it, that's okay. Let them go. We have let plenty of people just fall. We've literally let people who were like working with us and we're just like, I think we're never going to hear from her again. Like, I'm not going to chase her. I think she's just gone. Right. Yeah. And that's okay because it wasn't the right fit. So you want to attract them, but you want them to work for it because then you know that they're going to be around for a while.
For sure. And something that's really nice about those online platforms. So I know Trainual has one. We haven't used them, so we can't vouch for them. Yeah. But Teachable, Kajabi, what's really cool is Tiff will go pop in once a week and look to see how our candidates are doing and how far they are through the course. So if someone's not like jumping in, we know that's already like something that we check off the box, like, hey, not super driven. We're not super interested. So Harmony, lucky for you, you haven't gone through any of our courses, but we're giving you all the tips to succeed and like dazzle us. But Tiff will literally go check in and see how far along are they. And we always tell them when they're interviewing with us, like, hey, this is where we're at. If you find anything that could make this better along the way, let us know. And we do that intentionally. So that way we look to see, do they actually care about this? Are they going to give us feedback? Or are they just going to gloss through it? So we do a lot of things throughout the interviewing process to ensure these people are really who we want. And at any time through the process, if they're not the right person, we casually and nicely say, hey, thanks so much. We're going to chat with Kira or Tiff. And if you're a good fit for us moving forward, we'll contact you then. So we're not telling them goodbye. We have definitely called a few people back afterwards and said like, hey, we're still interested. But it allows us kind of a little wiggle room in case we don't want to continue on. Now, Tiff, I'm going to spin this. And for you guys, Tiff and I got really good at this because we used to own this really cool company called Dental Placement Pros, which served its purpose for Tiffany and I to meet. It doesn't exist anymore, even though people still email us. But we got really good at this. So if you guys want help with the hiring course, we literally took all of our notes, all the forms that we use, everything that we do. So no matter what industry you're in, if you want that, head on over to thedentalteam.com, click virtual training, and there's our hiring course. It literally says how to hire your unicorn. Surprise, surprise, Tiff and I are unicorns over here. And just use the coupon code DAT helps. We have downloadable forms, our sample ads for all these positions, and you guys can walk all the way through that. But Tiff, on the flip side of this is the last question I want to ask, and we'll wrap this up today. And then we're going to dance party with DJ Ash over there. Rachel's like, oh, shoot, I got to act all out. Whatever. Rachel is a great dancer. We played a house party, like the app house party, and we had to act out some things. Let me just let you know, Rachel's got some moves. She's got some serious moves. I can't wait to see them. But Tiff, there was a question that came in that said, how do you have a healthy conversation about salary? And I'm guessing this is coming from a team member wanting to get a raise. And they said, we've got scorecards. The use of the scorecards makes it easy, but if they need to be implemented, like how do you come to an agreement if the parties have different views? Does it go after the owner? Like, how do we work on this? And I want your input, Ash, if you've got some thoughts, because I think this is hard for team members. Like, how do you ask for that raise? Yeah,
so I think we can take it on both sides. So I think interview-wise for a team member or for the office, number one, confidence is key. Like, know your worth, know your value, know what it is that you want to make, and tell yourself that's what you're going to make, first of all, right? Go into it just knowing, like, I'm going to get this, right? And then make sure that it's a fit. If in your gut you're interviewing and someone's, offering you $3 less than what you went into it wanting, and you don't feel good about it, you're probably not going to be super happy there for a long time. So make that decision, make that educated gut decision as well. Because if you start out in a place where you're regretting it or you're resentful. Yeah, if you're resentful from the get-go, it's going to be really difficult to ask for raises thereafter, because it's going to be like a closed-off conversation. You're going to be coming at it from a place of anger and resentment, and not from a place of like, hey, I earned this, right? So from the get-go, make sure that you're making what you want to make, and interview all over the place until you find a place that fits really well. And maybe you do take $3 less an hour, but you really freaking love the practice and you're okay with it. That's fine. Just don't go into anything with resentment, and you'll be good. So then asking for a raise, I think, is similar. I had an office manager once tell me, like, hey, we're going to do these reviews, and I'm never going to give you a raise without you actually asking for it. If you want something or you want to earn something, you have to do the work for it. And that was really scary, because I was like, I do not, like, my childhood, my history, my past, like, asking for money is just not easy. And I think money is a hard conversation in the United States in general. So you really have to go into it with that mindset. Like, if I want something, I'm going to have to get it. I'm going to have to go after it. I can't wait for them to notice, right? Don't wait for people to notice what you're doing well. Tell them what you're doing well and say, hey, I've worked really hard for this. This is what I'd like to see happen, right? Hey, is this a point in my career within your practice that I would be eligible for a raise? Or better yet, go to your office manager, your doctor, owner, and say, hey, I would really love to make $1 an hour more than what I'm making right now. What can I do here in the practice to earn that? Right? Let them know, like, I'm willing to work for this. What can I do in order to get myself to that point? My goal is to make this much more than what I'm making right now. So can we chat a little bit about the steps that could be helpful for you in your position for me to take to get to that goal? Kara and I talk about that all the time. We just talked about it on Friday. I'm like, I want to make this much per month. And we broke it down. Like, well, this is how many calls and Zooms and office visits. Like, we break it down. So it's the same thing. Like, I really want to be making this much. What can I do to make that happen in the practice? Right. And maybe
for sure.
Heather and I had a question, if that's cool.
Yeah, of course. This is live.
We just listened and we were discussing it, as you probably could tell. like, it's not just a matter of doing your job and doing it well that you would get a raise, at least in my eyes. It's like, that's what we hired you to do. With the expectation of you doing your job well. Mm-hmm. It's doing something else. It's adding something of value. It's not just being there for 2 years and you're doing your job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You're exactly right. Kaylee, I actually asked Kaylee if I could call on her, so I'm not sure. She might be MIA. Thank you for that point, Brian. Kaylee, because Kaylee said something once. I hired Kaylee as a personal assistant. And I remember Kaylee said something about adding value that made her stand out. Kaylee, do you have thoughts on that, of like how to boost up the rank as a team member and how to have that discussion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like Kira said, I was hired as a personal assistant, and I knew.
And as a friend, guys, I needed a friend. We can confess this now. I needed a friend, and I hired Kaylee for both.
It worked out well for all of us, so thank you.
It did. She's the best.
And so I knew that this company just set my soul on fire, and I wanted to be a part of it. I didn't just want to be an assistant. I knew that, this company really set my soul on fire. And so I did everything I possibly could from an employee standpoint to make myself stand out. And that was taking things on that I was like, I have no idea what the heck I'm doing, but I will figure it out. I can take that and I will help you with this. Or, I was looking for different ways to make Kira's life easier because, when she was traveling, it was hectic. And, I was like, okay, let's come up with some systems to make it easier for you. And just finding those little ways to make myself stand out and to make Kira really notice me and realize, hey, this girl has potential. I want her, which is something that I thought of as an employee. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And honestly, Kaylee, like, I love what you said, because you thought about, you guys, who pays your paycheck? Your doctor does, your office manager, like, they're going to determine your paycheck. So look to see how, and not in a sugarcoating way. Kaylee didn't do it with the intent. I also think Kaylee's intentions were pure. She wanted to make my life easier. She wanted to grow the business. That came through. If Kaylee's intention was, I just want to make more money, I would have felt that and it wouldn't have come across as genuine. So finding a way, Liz also said, thank you for that, Kaylee. I remember Liz said, find a way to be a necessity for your team. And so if you're a necessity and you're adding more value, like Dr. Bialy just said, adding more, going above and beyond. Like, I can't tell you as an employer, when I became an employer, nothing frosts me more than when somebody expects to be paid more, when I'm like, you're just doing your job. Like, high five, thanks for staying with me. But the people that go above and beyond, I can't tell you how excited I am to pay them. Like, I literally, like, Ashley just built out a DA course and it's freaking rad. So I bonused her more than what I expected to pay her because I appreciate it so much. Like, that stuff makes me so excited. Tiff, like the other day, Tiff did something and I was like, Tiff, I want to do this with you. And it's just because it's fun to do. And it makes me so excited to do it for the people that go above and beyond, make my life easier. So when you talk about having a healthy conversation about salary, I'd ask you, are you really making yourself a necessity? Are you looking for ways to add value and to bring massive value? We're not talking little. Like, Kaylee literally found a way on our website to chat with new clients and was closing sales before I even found out about it, to add value to the company. Things like that, your salary will come. There was a book called The Go-Giver that we all read. It's part of our company. And they said in there, your pay is directly proportional to the amount of people you serve and how well you serve them. So I'd say those are some of the things of how to have a healthy conversation. Coaches, Ashley, anyone else want to, and then we'll wrap this up. I think that's a good ending note. Any other last thoughts? Rachel, Tiff, Ash, Kaylee, Claire, Harmony, Liz?
It's just important to really have an honest conversation with yourself and see where you're at in this conversation. Are you coming at it from a place of, well, I deserve this. I've worked hard. We have score sheets. We have end of day sheets. We have all these trackings. I see what the office is doing. I see the money we're pulling in because we talk about numbers every day. Are you coming at it from a place of, you can afford to pay me more and I deserve it? Are you coming from a place of, hey, I want to exceed your expectations because this is your job, right? You were hired to do these things and help this office thrive, period. Open a practice if you want it. If you want all that to yourself, open a practice. You were hired to help this practice do better. So is that the honest conversation you've had with yourself? Are you there to exceed expectations, give more value than what you're getting back? Or are you there because you deserve something? So that will determine the outcome of your conversation, because what you go into it with is what you're going to take from it.
And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.